Good evening, although when you're watching this it might not be evening, so hello, whatever time it is, and welcome to another gift giving session. And this session is on the subject of Pesach. How does Pesach connect to giving? Oh, this one's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed making this presentation. I hope you enjoy it too. Just go straight in. Let's do this. Here we go. 4 new questions for the Seder night. Question number 1. Why is it that if you want to do the mitzvah of Seder, you have to do it in front of, you have to say the story in front of the matzah and the Seder plate? Like, why? Why can't you talk about it not in front of the Seder plate? It's like when I'm learning some subject, I don't need those items in front of me. If I'm learning about what's the law, if your ox damages my ox, I don't need to have the ox in front of me. But yet when it comes to Seder night, I need to have the matzah, the maror, in front of me. Why? Question number 1. Question number 2. Why is it the Seder's done in a Q&A format? It's done in a question-answer format. Why can't I just go straight in? Just give the information over here. Come on, let's just cut to the chase. Go straight in. Here's the answer. No, it's got to be done. You get a little kick. What? Why? Why I have to go through the question stage and then the answer stage? That's question number 2. Question number 3. Before we even really get down to the story, we start pretty much near the beginning to talk about the 4 sons. Why am I telling you about the 4 sons? It seems to be saying about the 4 sons is that before we start talking about the Seder, you have to realize that not everyone's the same. Not everyone requires the same answer. There's a simple son. You've got to give us easy, simple answer to the simple son. To the chacham, to the wise one, you have to give a very complicated answer. To the one who doesn't need to know, you need to open up his mouth. Not like that, but just open up his mouth. And when it comes to the Russia, the wicked one, not wicked, but wicked, you have to be able to speak to him in a way that he can understand. Before I start learning with my, my learning partner, I don't start saying as an introduction, 1 minute, how about we talk about the different styles that we're going to teach each other before we start learning? I could start the introduction to my learning. Well, you know what? There's 4 different sons. There's the visual one, there's the audio one, there's the one who's reading, and a really kinesthetic, because there's different ways that people learn. I don't start off like that. So why do I need to say that at the beginning of the Seder, that there's 4 different sons? And lastly, why do I have to do this every single year? I know it already. I've been there, done that, years and years and years and years and years. Why do I have to repeat the same thing when I already know it already? Those are the 4 questions. Let's go through the 4 questions again. Question number 1, why do I need to put the items in front of me? Question number 2, why the Q&A style? Question number 3, why do I have to have the introduction of the 4 different sons telling me there's 4 different styles? And question number 4 is, why do I have to go through this over and over again when I know it already? And the answer is as follows. It's because there is a difference to learning, limud, and a story, sipur. When it comes to the Seder night, it's not called limud Mitzrayim. It's not about learning about Mitzrayim, but rather it's sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's telling the story about leaving Egypt. And now that we're talking about a story needs to be brought to life as much as possible. You need the props in front of you to bring it alive. You bring it as a Q&A to be able to get people's, not just their head involved, but to get their emotions, to get their feelings, excuse me, to be involved. Reason why it has 4 different sons, because not everybody likes the same story. So you have to realize, the storyteller, the balagada, has to start off and realize that, you know what, you're going to have to make sure this story fits in a way that everybody can understand the story. And why do I have to repeat it? Because when you got a good story, then it's not about knowledge, it's about you want to bring the story again and again. If it's about knowledge, okay, I know the knowledge, finish. But if it's a story, you can always retell a story. So therefore, I want to use this as an introduction that when it comes to the Seder, it's not about intellectual knowledge. It's not about learning new insights necessarily to the brain, but rather it's about taking the message to heart. How do we take that message and imbue that message and make a whole being take in whatever that message is? So I want to be able to tell you an idea as to what one of the messages is about Seder night. Okay? And we're going to start off with an analogy. Here we go. And this analogy actually is not just for Seder night, it's for all festivals, but here we go. Imagine one day you're walking down the street, minding your own business, and as you're doing that, there's someone menacingly walking behind you with a baseball bat. Do I have a baseball bat at home? No. Why? Because I'm British. There we go. So I got my cricket bat over here. Can I just thank Rav Leff for this analogy years and years ago, and I'm using it ever since. This should be fun. So you've got, what we're going to call him? We're going to call him Steve. Okay, so there's a guy who's walking behind you. Well, of course, you don't know his name at the moment, and you're walking, and this guy's walking slightly menacing with a baseball bat. So you start walking a bit faster. The guy behind starts walking a bit faster. You start really walking faster. He's walking faster. You start running for your life, and this person's chasing after you, yeah, with a baseball bat or cricket bat. Okay, and then as you're running for as fast as you can, bam, smashes your legs. You are excruciating pain. You're screaming, my legs. And he stands over you with this cricket bat, okay? You say Shema Yisrael, and he starts smashing and smashing and smashing, beating the living daylights, and bam, bam, smashing the legs to the pulp. He's got his baseball bat up. You think this is it. This is finally it, okay? Nothing more left to go. Okay, and he says, hi, my name's Steve. You know, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. You know, business hasn't been great lately. And if I don't, you know, practice, I'm going to lose my touch. So I need to get practice. So I smash your legs. I hope you don't mind, do you? So what I'm going to do is, my parents, I'm going to take you to my surgery. Work on your legs for 6 months. And 6 months later, your legs are going to be brand new. Are you all right with that? I'll take that as a yes. So Steve lifts you up. He takes you to his surgery. And he works diligently on your legs for 6 whole months. 6 months later, your legs are perfect. Brand new, as if no one ever hit them with a baseball bat ever. And as you're leaving, Steve says, well, aren't you going to say something? What? Well, I just wasted 6 months of my life on your legs. Surely you want to say, you know, didn't your parents come to teach you? You know, you say your P's and, you know, Q's, yeah? Say thank you. Now, are you going to say thank you to him? No. You are hardly going to say thank you to him. Probably what you would say would have to be beep. Okay, you wouldn't be able to say what you were able to say. You wouldn't be able to repeat what you would say to him. He smashed your legs. Why on earth would you say thank you to someone who smashed your own legs? So here's the issue. Here is the issue. It comes to say tonight and we say, Hashem, thank you so much for saving us from Mitzrayim. Who do you think put us in there? Hashem put us in there. So why on earth am I thanking Hashem for saving me when he was the one who smashed my legs in the first place? He was the one who caused this issue. He was the one who put us into slavery. Hashem to control the world. So it's only because of him we're in slavery. So why am I thanking Hashem for taking me out of Mitzrayim when if it was him who put us there in the first place? Kind of ruins the whole atmosphere, doesn't it? It's like, thank you. You can say that really for any festival, really. Why am I thanking Hashem when surely it's Hashem who caused the issue in the first place? So to be able to answer that, we actually have to change the analogy slightly. So let me give a different analogy. And I can give this analogy because I can do whatever analogy I like because it's my, I'm going to use my imagination. And so I can do what I like in my imagination. So here we go. So imagine a scene. There is an illness, okay, which incubates in the legs over the course of several years. And let's say at the end of 10 years, okay, if these legs aren't treated, then they turn to dust. What's the name of the disease? Blah, blah. What was that? Blah, blah. So there we go. So the disease called blah, blah is at the end of 10 years, one's legs turn to dust. Instantly. Like that, 10 years to this millisecond turns to dust. And there's only one way to stop the legs turning to dust. How? To be able to smash it with a plastic cricket bat. There we go. If you were to smash it to pulp with a very heavy plastic, blue plastic cricket bat, then then you reset the legs, that is how the legs will get better. Now, what's his name again? Steve. Steve walks around with a plastic baseball bat cricket bat, because hey, you never know, there might be someone. And you're walking along, minding your own business, and Steve, who's an orthopedic surgeon, is very good at his job. He can actually look at your legs and he's saying, oh boy, I can now count 30, 29, he's very, very good at this, 27, 26. He can see in 26 seconds that your legs are going to turn to dust. And the only way to fix this is by getting the baseball bat and smashing your legs to a pulp. But he's hardly going to ask you, because I can now count 13, 12, 11, 10. Imagine he can go up to you and start saying, hi, do you know if I smash up your legs? No, trust me, I'm a doctor. It's not going to happen. 5, 4. He's got nothing else to do it. He starts chasing after you. You start running. He starts chasing more. You start running. He gets this baseball bat, his cricket bat, okay, and bam, 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 he slams your legs to an absolute pulp, breaking all the legs. Ah! And he says, hi, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. Ah! You know, I just saw that your legs were about to turn to dust, and I'm here to save you. I smashed up your legs. I'm going to take you to my surgery. 6 months later, your legs are going to be absolutely perfect, like brand new. You alright with that? Ah! I take that as a yes. He lifts you up. He takes you to a surgery. 6 months later, your legs are perfect. And as you leave, he says, aren't you going to say thank you? Would you say thank you? For sure. You fix your legs. He spent 6 months fixing your legs. You say thank you, and he says, and here's the bill. More than that. So here we go. That is the moshul, the analogy, and here's the message. Here's the nimshal. Through our free will, we have abilities to the Jewish people have the ability to cause spiritual damage, so to speak, to themselves. So with our free will, we can cause spiritual damage to ourselves. In order to fix that spiritual damage, Hashem sends a baseball bat against us, or cricket bat against us, and then through that bat, he then fixes the problem. The question is, with every single festival now, is what was the illness that we created? What is the specific baseball bat against us? And then what got fixed? So for example, when it comes to Purim, what was the illness of the Jewish people? Why did Hashem send the baseball bat of Haman against us? And then what got fixed? When it comes to Hanukkah, what was the illness of the Jewish people? Why specifically the Greeks? And then what got fixed? When it comes to Pesach, what was the illness of the Jewish people? What was it specifically about Pharaoh against us? Why that baseball bat? And then what got fixed? With every single festival, we have to know those 3 different stages. And by the way, I'll say as well, with this virus going on at the moment, we also have to, the fact is, we don't have prophets nowadays, so we don't know. We do not know. But we believe that there's stage 1, there is a spiritual illness. We don't know what that is. We do not know what that is. The baseball bat is this virus. What's going to get fixed? Don't know. We don't know. We don't know. But when it comes to Pesach, we have been told what it is, okay? And therefore, if we take this a little bit deeper as well, okay, going back to the PowerPoint, finally, when we say that there's a miracle, Hashem saved us, it's a miracle. So what we really now, if we look at this deeply, the childish way of looking at this is, phew, Hashem got us out of the problem. Wow, he caused a miracle and he saved us from the problem. But if we really understood properly, we would say, no, it's not that a miracle is Hashem saved us from the problem. The real miracle actually is that Hashem put us in the situation in the first place. Hashem sent us the baseball bat. That is part of the rectification. He sent a baseball bat against us, and then he saved us. He fixed us. And that's why the word nes stands for 2 things. Nefila, falling down, and smicha, support. Which means if we really take it on a deeper level, that when it comes to a nes miracle, part of the miracle is the sending the baseball bat against us. Hashem made us fall. He hit us, okay, which is needed for the rectification, and then smicha, he supported us. Okay, this is taking it on a deeper level. And more than that, actually, we say that every single festival, there's 2 parts to it. There's Shevach and Hodah. Shevach is thanks, and Hodah means an appreciation. Well, appreciation can mean 2 things. One, it means thank you. It also means an understanding. So the 2 parts to a festival is a Hodah, an understanding. Now I understand, Hashem, why you sent a baseball bat against us. An understanding of why do I need a baseball bat. And then the Shevach is thanks, Hashem, for saving us. And what I was thinking actually is that when it comes to the Seder night, there's two parts to the Seder night. There's the first part and the second part. We have Hallel, the last part of it, when we start singing. That Hallel is a Shevach. Thank you so much, Hashem, for saving us. But the major bulk of the Seder actually is going through the story. And what I reckon is actually going through the story. That is the Hodah, is the recognition of, wow, I now understand, Hashem, why we needed that baseball bat, followed by the Hallel, thanks Hashem for saving us. So, to summarize what we said so far, with every single festival, we have to understand what is the illness, what is a baseball bat, and what's been fixed. So, what I'm about to do now, and then also we said in the intro as well, is that it's not an academic lesson, but rather this is about actually how to take that to heart. What I'm about to tell you now is one of the messages of Pesach, but to do with giving. Okay, there are other messages, but this is one of the messages of Pesach to do with giving, to understand what the illness was, what is the baseball bat, okay, and what's been fixed. And with that, we will now begin. 16 minutes in, we will now begin. Let's go. What was the original illness that the Jewish people managed to cause themselves? So the real question is actually, why were the Jews in Egypt anyway? Why were the Jews not in Israel? How did the Jews originally end up in Egypt? And the answer is it all started through Yosef being sold. Joseph got sold by his brothers. He went down to Egypt, and from there, Yosef came in charge of Egypt, and then ... We all know the story how the Jewish people came slaves. But it started off with the brothers sent off Yosef, which means we see already that the start of the Jewish people started off with brothers bickering, brothers fighting. And through that pain of the brothers fighting, okay, through the arguments, Yosef went to Egypt. Then afterwards, when the brothers find out who Yosef is, Yosef tells all the brothers, come down to Egypt. And the brothers come down to Egypt. It says, Ve'ela Shmois B'nai Yisrael. These are the names of the children of Israel, Habaim Mitzrayim, who came to Egypt, Es Yaakov, and Ish Uveso Ba'u, each man with his own house. Each man with his own house. So what you see from this pasuk as well is that when the Jewish people came down, and there were only 70 in total, is that they didn't come down as one Yisrael, one people, but rather, even though there's only 70, each person, each brother went down with his own family, implying that there's already a break within Klal Yisrael. Not everyone is joined together. They are still separate, even though there's only 70. From here, years later, the Jewish people, they go down to Egypt, and they ultimately become slaves. We know the story that Moshe, he hit the Egyptian who was trying to kill someone, and the next day later, he sees two people fighting. He sees two people fighting, and he says to the two people, stop fighting! What are you doing? Stop fighting! To which one of them says, oh, 1 minute, and if I don't, what? You're going to kill me like you killed the Egyptian? We're going to tell on you. And then it says, the pasuk says, Vayira Moshe. Moshe got scared. Vayoma, and he says, Achein no dahadava. Now I understand. Now I understand what? What? That's quite sad, this. Rashi says, Nodali hadava, now I understand the matter. Shahayisi tama, I was shocked. Ma'achata Yisrael Mikol Shivim Umos. What did the Jewish people do wrong more than any of the 70 nations? Leos Nadim Ba'avaras Path, that they should go down and have terrible work. They should be slaves. Why is Hashem punishing the Jews? Why are they under so much pain? But you know what? Now I understand. Because now I see with this story over here that he says that I was here to save the Jewish people. And he says, who are you to tell me what to do? I'm going to dob on you. I'm going to go tell Paro. And that's exactly what he did. He says, the Jewish people speak Lashon Hara. The Jewish people fight with each other. It now makes sense. It now makes sense that the Jewish people are slaves in Egypt. This is unbelievable. To say it again. Moshe was to understand, why should it be that Hashem's punishing the Jewish people more than anyone else? Like, what is wrong? Why? And then he sees that the Jewish people are speaking Lashon Hara against each other. He sees that there's fighting, and he says, now I got it. Now I understand. If it can be the one Jew starts speaking badly about another Jew, it's actually going to inform the Egyptians about this other Jew, then it makes sense. I understand. And we have to realize that if Lashon Hara was a problem in those days, then even nowadays with our technology, it can be even that much worse. I want to show you one real video clip.
At
Take a look at this
2:30
video clip.
p.m., Shloime R., a Malamed in the local cheder, is in the butcher shop paying for a prime rack of lamb.
That'll be $132.
And so it begins.
I know it's not my business, but my cousin in LA saw that people are saying all kinds of things about your husband.
Here's the rack of lamb you asked me to pick up for the Shabbat brachas. It was exactly $132.
By 2:53, over 400 people in the community now think they know that there are serious problems with Shloime R., and the news is spreading to Muncie, Lakewood, Lawrence, Chicago, Miami, and LA.
Shloime, people are saying crazy things about you. Did you really spend $100 at the butcher?
At 2:29 this afternoon, Shloime R. was a beloved Rebbe and a respected member of the community. By 2:55, less than a half hour later, his reputation and that of his wife and children was destroyed. In the time it took for Shloime to walk home, over 400 people became convinced that he was actually loaded with unexplained money and might be a poor role model for his Talmidim in the cheder. Only none of it was true. If Lashon Hara is like a gun that can destroy a person, Lashon Hara on the internet is like a weapon of mass destruction. How many people have been ruined like this? How many times did we destroy the Beis HaMikdash today? Next time you're about to send or forward an email, text, or post about someone, think before you click.
Yep, and if we can use the virus as an analogy, we can see just how things can spread and go out of proportion very, very quickly. Okay, so that's the illness. The illness of the Jewish people is that there's not enough love between each other, there's not enough giving between each other, and that they're separate. That's stage one. Now we go on to the baseball bat, the nefila. Okay, and we realize that this baseball bat was specifically Paro. Paro was the one who attacked the Jewish people and made them slaves. And why specifically Paro? What was it about this attack that caused, that was needed to be able to fix the Jewish people up? Okay, so when it came to Paro, it wasn't just actually giving him hard work, but the whole goal was to be able to actually break up the whole family life. You Jewish people don't want to be able to have achdus. I'll show you what it's like not having achdus. I'll show you what it's like in a world where everyone has to be separate. So the fathers had to work during the day, the mothers had to work during the night. They did everything to make it possible that families were split up. When they did this, however, they found actually that there's a principle that generally it's once something's taken away from you, then you appreciate how much that is what you would have lost. I can tell you now that I'm appreciating minyanim far more than I ever did, just because it's just weird now not being able to go to a minyan. And when you're around friends, fine, but when your friends are taken away from you, then you really start appreciating friends. When they made sure to be able to break up a family life, when they try to break up family life, they did other ways also of breaking up family life as well. This had the opposite effect. The Jewish people, the first time they're referred to as a people is actually only when they were in Egypt. And when they were in Egypt, they were now referred to as an And the word comes from the Hebrew word im, which means with, together. Because once it started being broken up and started raising, what it's like to have, not be able to be together, then the Jewish people realized, no, we have to be united. We have to stay strong together. And that's when they became an Am. That's when they had an Im. You can actually see also how they decided to be able to destroy the Jewish people and break us up. It says, Vayuku shoitrei b'nei Israel. Okay, they smote. Okay, they hit. The Egyptians hit the taskmasters of the Jewish people, which kind of sounds weird. What do you mean? I would have thought the taskmasters hit the Jewish people, not that the Egyptians hit the taskmasters of the Jewish people. Why would the Egyptians hit the taskmasters? So the taskmasters are part of their plan to hurt the Jews. Answer is, says Rashi, is that no. Is that who were the taskmasters? They were Jews. It was Jews, which means the Egyptians set Jews to fight against Jews. And they said to the taskmasters, they said, you have to go and have to make the Jewish people bring their bricks. And you have to whip them and harm them as much as you possibly can to make sure they do their whips. And if not, we're going to hit you. And when it came to these capos, when it came to these Jews, they refused to hit their brothers. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. We'll take the pain instead. And therefore you see that they were that through this, that to be able to make it's incredible that they, in order to be able to break up the Jewish people, they made Jew fight against Jew. But they realized, no, we have to stay strong, and the Jew refused to hit another Jew. I'm going to read the Rashi. Hashotim Yisraelim, the taskmasters were Jews. Hayu v'chasim al chaverim and they had pity on their brethren. Okay, and when they weren't able to do the bricks, okay, and they were lacking from the total, then the Egyptians would hit them, okay, because they refused to actually hurt their brethren. Okay. Also, what was gained through the baseball bats, through this, is that afterwards we've seen Shmos, there's a halacha, v'ger lo sona. Okay, you should not, you shouldn't be horrible to the stranger. Okay, you shouldn't cause them harm. V'lo silchatzenu, you shouldn't cause them under pressure. Why? Ki gerim hayisim beres Mitzrayim, because you know what, you were there as well. Okay. When someone's gone through a certain experience, then you now have the ability to have empathy on those who are also going through that. So through the Jewish people going through this pain, that made the Jewish people even more empathetic than they would otherwise be, because now I've been through this pain, now I know what it is, now I realize not to allow that to happen to anybody else. I'm going to show you another video clip over here, where there's a kid who's on the street, and who is going to be the one who helps the kid? Who is the one who's going to be empathetic to that kid? Take a look. Whoops, let me go back. And here we go. By the way, the kid's an actor. Okay, this is not this is a social experiment. The kid's not really freezing. It's all alright. It's all alright.
all right, little brother? What's the matter? You homeless?
Yeah.
You homeless? Yeah, you cold, bro? Man, tell me what happened to you. What happened to you? Where's your parents?
They abandoned me when I
Your
was
parents
7.
abandoned you when you were 7 years old? And you out here all by yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Cold.
What? Yeah, you cold, bro?
So
Let me give you
cold.
my jacket. Let me give you my coat. You know, it's gonna make you feel warm, all right? Let me make you feel warm. All right, you good? All right, you hungry?
I'm so
You know, I mean, one, yeah, love you, brother.
so much.
Huh?
Thank you.
I know.
So
I
cold.
mean, so you so bad at such a young age. Your family. You no family, no family. See, I can communicate because I'm homeless. You know, but, you know, I'm homeless. And you know, me being an older homeless person, you know, we gotta look out for one another. Because, you know, maybe I can show you the road, but you know.
So it's the one who's homeless who helps out. Why? Because he's been through it himself. So once you've been through something, you have the power of empathy. So through the Jewish people being slaves, it's through that has the ability to actually make the Jewish people even more empathetic and more connected together. And now we're going to see the smicha. We're going to see what is now actually how the Jewish people have come out of this and what they've now become. Okay, so when the Jewish people are about to leave after the 10 plagues, okay, well, before the last one, okay, they have to have the Korban Pesach, okay, and the halacha is the Korban Pesach is that every single household has to eat one Korban Pesach. You're not allowed to leave any left over. So you can imagine this family thinking, what on earth? I'm meant to eat this? By the way, how many people do you think a Korban Pesach feeds? One lamb feeds how many people? Excuse me. And the answer is 45. 45 people get one lamb feeds 45 people. So one family thinking is like, what am I meant to do with this? I'm meant to eat it. The only thing to do is to bring more people into your home and to have more achdus. Excuse me, more achdus and more joining together. Beautiful! This is beautiful. And therefore, when the Jewish people are being saved, it's by actually coming together and stronger. And the Maharal says as well, is that the way it was cooked is that it was roasted. And when things are roasted, it shrinks and it brings it in closer and closer together. The reason why it has to be roasted is because through the Korban Pesach, the Jewish people came tighter knit and they came closer and stronger together. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And as a Jewish people, okay, more than that, to show you the achdus which came about through this, is that Moshe says, let my people go. Pharaoh says, no. And then he says, you know what? Okay, we'll do a bit of haggling over here. I'll tell you what, the men can go, but not the women. Moshe says, no. We're together. We're one. We're all going out. So he says, all right, fine, okay, fine. I'll give you the men and the women, but not the children. No, we are together. We are we are people. We're getting the men and the women and the children. He says, all right, fine, I'll tell you what, but not the animals. No, I don't think you get this, Pharaoh. We are one. We are all together in it. Hashtag we're all in it. We are all in it together, okay? All of us are going, okay? Benoreinu are young, Skenenu are old, Nelech, Bavarnenu, Vnosenu, our sons, our daughters, Beisesenu, with our sheep of Korenu and our cattle, Nelech, we are all going together. And what you see from here is that through the house of bondage, we built an arm. Through the house of bondage, we built a bias. We built a home. The Jewish people are together. This goes so far. Beautiful idea. Is as a Jewish people, we're leaving Egypt. It says, Chamushim alu v'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. They went up. Chamushim has different meanings. One, it means being armed. They went up being armed. Chamushim also means they went up a fifth. And the reason why it means a fifth is because the Medrash says that 4/5 of the Jewish people died in the darkness. So only 1/5 went up. So it means armed, it means a fifth, but also according to Targum, it means actually five. Five of Bnei Yisrael went up. What does that mean? So what's the difference between a fifth, five, and armed? And this is beautiful. Says the Admor Mibels, he says that during the plague of darkness, when 4/5 of the Jewish people got wiped out, these were people who were saying, you know what, I can't change, I can't make it, I need to stay here in Egypt. They died. But most likely, the children wouldn't die because the children didn't do anything wrong. So now as the Jewish people are about to leave Egypt, what's going to happen to all these orphans? Where do they go? So I'll tell you what it means. Is that for the Jewish people to leave Egypt, they had to be armed with a mitzvah. They needed a merit. What is that mitzvah they merited in to be able to leave? Is that because there was only chamushim, there was only 1/5 that left Egypt, they had to be armed with the mitzvah of every household going with 5 families. What do you mean 5 families? They had their own family and they adopted 4/5 of the orphans, which means every single house that left had 5 families, their own, and the orphans of 4/5. And through that mitzvah of taking on orphans and to be able to adopt, that is how they managed to be able to leave. And watch this powerful video about the kindness and the beauty it is of being able to adopt.
My favorite quote of all time was our furnace repairman comes into the house, stops dead in his tracks, and says, "This looks like some kind of United Nations meeting."
I was born in Bangkok,
Bangalore, India.
Connecticut,
And I was born in Romania.
Ethiopia.
which is in Africa.
And China.
We're such victims of our culture because our culture tells us your kids have to look perfect and be in all the perfect schools, and you can't do that with a big family. But if you just concentrate on what's important, the rest will follow. People discouraged us. They thought we were going to ruin our lives by taking all these special kids, and they said, you don't know what to do. And it's true that we had no experience and we didn't really know how to raise them, but you see what happens with unconditional love. You give a person unconditional love and they blossom.
Never knew what happened next.
I feel like having these kids has really helped us find our life, find our meaning, find our purpose.
It took me decades to figure this out, but there's no physical thing that you can buy that's actually going to give you true peace and happiness. And the pure joy that will come from a rescue and a ransom of a child's life is probably the most satisfying thing you can imagine. We talk about adoption. We tell them they're adopted, and we kind of tell them, you know, being born into a family, you don't even decide that. It kind of happens biologically, but when you're adopted, your parents looked out at the whole world and picked you.
In Romania, at least at the time when I was born, when you were born with a deformity, quote quote, it was considered a curse by God. I was kind of distanced and not treated right and kind of not really getting any care that a normal baby should, which is why when I was 1.5 years old, I weighed 9 pounds. It was rough in the first year of my life, but I lived. Family is everything.
Family's fun. Interesting.
family is just people you can be a fool around and they'll still love you.
Awesome.
No, should I do the Dennehy face? Family is something that I can count on.
Family is adoption.
Okay. Message for us now in our Seder. We start off Seder with Halach Ma'anya. This is the bread of the poor man. Kol dichvin yasei ve'echal. Whoever is hungry, let him come and eat. Kol disrich yasei ve'efsach. Whoever is in need, let him come and have Seder with us. What? How many just repeated that? Whoever is hungry, come in and eat. Whoever is in need, come and have Seder with us. Is that not the same thing? No, it's not. Kol dichvin yasei ve'echal is whoever's hungry, whoever's poor, come and eat with us. But you know what? It's not only people who are poor necessarily who needs someone to be who needs to be invited. Anyone who's got all the money in the world but is lonely, also have Seder with us. Hashata hacha l'shana haba b'aretz Yisrael. Hashata avdei l'shana haba b'nei chorim. And what we're saying over here, we end off with this, is now we are here in Galus. But l'shana haba, in the next year, we should live in Israel. Now we are slaves still, but l'shana haba b'nei chorim, we should be free. Which means is that we're saying at the end, we're saying that we're still here, we're still in a situation nowadays where we don't have this concept of achdus, we don't have this concept of wanting to give to each other, and that's why now we're still slaves. But we say, L'shana haba, please God, if we take on this message that we care for every single yid, and we care for everyone, and we look after their welfare and want to become one with them, then if we do that, we get that message, then we'll be in Israel, and the Shana Haba B'nei Chorim, then we will actually be free people with the building of the Beis HaMikdash. So to end off with this, this year, this is going to be a interesting year. It's going to be very much a different year. That this year we're not going to be able to have guests. It's going to be very strange. It's going to be very, very strange not to be able to have guests, not be around with the rest of the wider families, be at home. But possibly, I'm not a prophet. I'm not a gazillion miles anywhere near being a prophet. And I'm not saying this is a message, but maybe a message that we could take. I'm not saying this is the message, but the message we take is that now that we're in isolation and we're going to see actually what is it like not being around people, then perhaps that means that we can actually start appreciating what it really is, and we can actually start wishing and wanting and praying that we should have more achdus, we should be together. And this year should be the only year ever that we're not going to be together. But please God, if we take on this message that we want to be part of Kaisval, then we should have the building of the Beis HaMikdash with the coming of Mashiach. Amen. All the best. Kol Tov.